game, football. Somebody asked me why football. And the answer I gave them was next to religion, the opiate of the masses, if you can talk, it's about football. They say two countries stopped fighting for a week, battle for a week because there was a football match in the offing. A football match brought a war to an end, kind of. So that's that mass attraction for football. And keeping that in mind, I'm going to not trace really, I'm going to tell you some stories relating to World Cup football from 1930 to today, 2022, 92 years of World Cup football. Some interesting episodes and how they came. Yeah, I'll speak a little louder. Yeah. Is it okay now? Are you able to hear me clearly? Yeah. If you're able to hear me clearly, show me a thumbs up.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, good. Okay, good. Thank you. So let me trace, not really the history, interesting incidents from the world of football. Somebody asked me, are you going to talk about football and philosophy? I said, no, that is a philosophy on its own. When I talk philosophy, I include football. But when I talk football, I don't include philosophy. So to start with, I am from Bengal. So whether we learn to say Amma, Appa or not, but we learn to say football from a very young age. So football fascinates all of us. And for the sake of football, we forget eating, drinking. There was a guy on whose wedding reception day, there was a football match. He told his wife, you go attend the reception alone, I'm going to watch the football match. So that's a kind of addiction we have for football. And there was even a movie made in Bengal called Mohan Baganer May, the girl from Mohan Bagan. So it was football. It was an entire movie on football. There was another movie on football called Escape to Victory. That was also a movie on football. So it captures the mind. You don't need much intelligence to also understand football. Two teams, two different jerseys, running up and down, trying to kick the ball into the other's goal. Okay, but let's see. Football was being played for a long time in the 20th century, 1908. It got recognized as a regular game in the Olympics, 1908 Olympics. Then got affected by World War and things like that. And then in the 20s, after the cessation of the war, there was a football federation chief. His name was Jules Rimet, Frenchman, Rimet, Jules Rimet. He was the head of the International Football Federation. And he thought, and in the Olympics, the problem is professionals could not play football. You have to be an amateur to play football, any kind of game in Olympics. But then the European leagues, and by the time they were developing very well, because it was being played very well in Europe, Latin America, and Asia. And Europe was paying people a lot. And they said, if you're being paid by the associations and clubs, you can't play World Cup. I mean, you can't really play Olympics. So that started the idea in Jules Rimet's mind. Okay, why not have a World Cup football apart from Olympics? Free Olympics from deciding who the champions is, who the champions are. Okay. So the idea started, and finally it took root. And he said, whoever hosts this, I will donate a trophy called the Jules Rimet Trophy. And that time, the Olympic champion was Uruguay, and Uruguay was celebrating some centenary and things like that. So they decided that the host will be Uruguay from Latin America, because Europe could not host it in 1930 because of the, it was just recovering from the war, and Uruguay was willing to host it. So it was hosted in Uruguay, in the city of Montevideo, and Montevideo, they call it. And all the matches were played in one city. Those days, there was no qualification matches. They just invited 13 teams invited. But many teams from Europe could not travel to South America because of difficulty of travel. You have to go by ship. Difficulty of travel. So not many teams participated. And finally, Italy did participate. And it was what is called a round robin event. That means each team will beat each other team. The top two teams or four teams will play the knockout stage. The final was staged between Argentina and Uruguay. And Uruguay won the tournament. Uruguay won the tournament and Argentina lost. Uh, some of the important aspects of this game was in the final. It is a very emotionally, severely contested uh, contest. So Argentina said, I will use my football made in my country. Uruguay said, I will use the football made in my country because I don't trust the football made in Argentina. I don't know how football ball could make a difference. They arrived at a unique compromise. First half Uruguay, second is Argentina's football. That was how the first football was played. It was in 1930. The concept had taken root. Now they wanted to do it in Europe in 1934. And Italy wanted to host the tournament. And because of some problems, between these associations and things like that, all the teams in North America, Central America, and South America boycotted the tournament. All except one team, Brazil. So Brazil traveled, essentially because of travel reason, but they traveled. So the second tournament in 1934 was played in Italy. And Italy won the cup. They won the cup. And 38, they could not find anybody to host the tournament. So the tournament remained in Europe. It was hosted by France. So in 1938, Italy won it again. So 2 years in succession, Italy won. 34 and 38. Then, the association was developing. They said it should held alternatively in this continent and that continent. And that continent of Latin America did not have much money. So, and then in between the World War 42 and 46 came. So because of that, the tournament was not held. Finally, they decided to hold it in 1950. They said 49 we'll hold it, but Brazil's, and then Europe did not have money. Europe was devastated because of the Second World War. It did not have the money. So Brazil said it will host. So it was hosted by Brazil. It was again a certain round robin system of hosting. And the final was played between Brazil, the home team, and Uruguay. If you can go to YouTube and see the game, and then the Brazil, the team was, the public is so crazy that from the playing area to the stands, they dug a moat with water so that people don't jump into the ground out of excitement. It's the only football stadium which has that facility. And unfortunately, the home team, Brazil, lost. It was a national mourning was declared. You should see it. I remember seeing the picture clips of it in a movie called 2000 Years of Football in German. The movie was in German. You can see that when the winning goal was scored by Uruguay, there is a deathly silence in the stadium. Then they focus on the faces of the fans, and slowly, one by one, the face crumbles and they start crying. It was a national mourning. Brazil really, their hearts broke that day. They were expecting to win and their hearts broke. That was 50 World Cup. Then things started changing and more participation started. 54, the World Cup came back to Europe. This time it was hosted by Switzerland. And at that point of time, the Hungarian football team, the team from Hungary, was absolutely top class. He was called the Flying Major. Puskás was the Hungarian footballer, and amazing footballer. And in the group stage, they beat Germany 8-3. Flattened Germany. And again, the tournament came about in the finals, Germany came to meet Hungary. So the foregone conclusion, they thought this Hungary is going to win. And in the group games, one of Germany's main player, that was a defender. I don't know whether it was a main player, a defender, deliberately fouled Puskas. Like in the sense, virtually hit him on the something, badly injured him. And he couldn't take part for the major part of the tournament after that match. But then they fielded a half fit Puskas, and the match was, those days was what, if there was a tie, it used to be replayed. And even if after replayed it remained a tie, they will go to the group games and see who is the better goal average, or they will draw lots and decide who was the winner. So the controversy of the whole thing in Switzerland was in the final when Germany and Hungary were playing. Our friend Puskas was deliberately fouled so many times, but the referee ignored all of them. And Germany was leading 3-2. And towards the end of the game, Hungary equalized. When they equalized, there's a linesman. If you see the game, there'll be a referee, there'll be linesman. The linesman's job, he'll have a flag in hand. He will raise the flag to say it's offside. Offside means the goal scoring person is in an is in an advantageous position. Like he has reached the spot even before the defenders. It's one of the most difficult rules to it. It's called offside. And the Hungarian goal scorer was not offside. And this fellow, and the linesman didn't point it out, but the referee pointed out offside. Then they immediately went to film shots. In those days, imagine 1954 or 58, 54 filmmaking. They didn't have that kind of sophisticated cameras. These days they have cameras. Virat Kohli digging something out of his dentures, that's also picked up by the cameras. So the camera was, and then they tried to replay it, and then the goal was disallowed and Germany won. It's one of the most controversial World Cup finals ever. And it also had another very dubious reputation. There was a match between Brazil and another team. It was so brutal. It was held in a city of Bern, B-E-R-N-E, B-E-R-N-E, Bern. And even today it is referred to as the Battle of Bern. So it's called the Battle of Bern. It's called the Battle of Bern because it was virtually a marpeat. It still stands today. In fact, when we do football quiz, I ask this question: where was the Battle of Bern fought? And it was the Battle of Bern. So that was 54. Germany won the World Cup for the first time. Very controversial. It remained in Europe for the next, after 4 years, quadrennial, every 4 years. So in 58, the tournament moved for the first time to the Nordic country of Sweden. It was played in Sweden. And it saw the emergence of a superstar. Edson Arantes de Nascimento was his full name. He was popularly known as Pele. Black Pearl, that's how they referred to him. He was just 17 years when he played. And even today, it stands a record that he was possibly the youngest person to score the World Cup goal and score in the final as well. He was recently matched by a Spanish player called Gavi, the recent match. He was just 17 years. And a magician. Nobody saw football at that time. There's something called a bicycle kick, a back volley. All these were Pele's creation. When the ball comes to you, people normally try to head it in. This fellow fell backwards and kicked it into the opponent's goal with this, the somersault, or with a cartwheeling move. And he may used, we have seen clips of his practice sessions. He picks up the ball on his right leg, slowly moves it up to his head and brings it down on the left leg and puts it down. He came from the slums of Brazil and became an icon in World Cup football. And you should listen to Brazil, Pele's talk on football. He tells the youngsters, if you want to be a international class footballer, you must be a top class athlete. And if you want to be an athlete, you must be a very disciplined person. Even if after all this you're still not able to make it to football, never mind. Your country has gained a disciplined person. That's how he spoke. I was lucky to see him play in India. He played an exhibition match in India sometime in the 80s. He played in the Eden Gardens, much past his prime. So that was the introduction of Pele in 1958. Those days, the team were 16 or less. They didn't have many teams. 16 or less were the number of teams that were playing. 16 used to be called, and then 13 or 12 used to come. Then we moved to the 60s. And this time, South American football people, they said, if you don't allow us to host, we will not participate. So World Cup football moved in 1962 to Chile. But this time also, Brazil won. They beat Czechoslovakia in the final and won. But what was sad about the whole thing was the entire footballing defense. They thought the only way to stop Pele is to kick him. He was fouled so badly and injured so badly that he had to be carried off the field. And it was a sad end to Pele's 62 World Cup campaign. But then came an a person of Italian origin playing for Brazil. His name was Garincha. And that fellow took the World Cup by storm. He was bow-legged and he didn't know where he was kicking the ball from. It was called the Garincha's World Cup, and Brazil won the World Cup again. And again in that 62 World Cup, there was a brutal match in which Italy and one other South American nation participated. It was virtually fisticuffs match. And that match came to be called as the Battle of Santiago. So remember, if you're participating in a quiz, I'll have two questions. Where was the Battle of Bern fought, and where was the Battle of Santiago fought? They are football matches and not battles. By the time 60s came, the game became more sophisticated. More money was pumped into the game. In 66, it moved to England. The Wembley Stadium that was a host for the final. Once again, it was a very crucial and a little controversial. Because Germany was rising very well. They had some excellent players in Germany, a fullback called Franz Beckenberg. And he was called, Kaiser Franz, because he had a royal bearing about the way he played. Never fouled people. So it was amazing.
That is 66, sir.
66 World Cup, yes.
Yeah.
66 in England.
Yeah.
And Germany came to the final. Brazil again. Brazil, after the 66 World Cup, Pele said, I will never play World Cup football again. Because he was again targeted for being kicked, and he was virtually carried off the field. So he was so badly targeted that he said he would never play the game again. That was 66. And in 66, Germany reached the final. It was 2 goals all. And the match had moved to extra time. Germany was absolutely in control of the game. It's called the German football team is called the meme machine. It's very difficult to beat them. They all seem to have one mind. And it was all set when a British footballer, he kicked the ball into the top of the Brazilian net. It fell down. The cameras couldn't capture whether the ball fell into the goal line or outside the goal. The public says it fell outside the goal line. The referee ruled as inside the goal line, and England took the lead 3-2. They were so badly, Germany got so demoralized that they lost the final 4-2. And some great players came up from England. Bobby Charlton, Bobby Moore, wonderful players came up from England. And England is a place where good English Premier football is played. So that was 66 World Cup in Germany. 66 World Cup, there was another phenomenal thing that it was for the first time that a team from Asia, North Korea, they defeated Italy. The world was stunned. Italy, former world champion, stunned by North Korea. They just did not, all these little fellows running between their legs and scoring. They could imagine this kind of football. And North Korea took a very crucial 2-goal lead against Portugal in one of the knockout matches. Then came a Portugal, smart player. Usubio is his name. You should Google and see. The Koreans targeted him, kicked him, tried their best, but they couldn't keep it down. He made it 2-all, 3-2, 4-2, and they finally won the match, Portugal. And they played their best, so they lost in the next knockout match. So Portugal and Usubio was perhaps the best performance in 66. Germany should have been Portugal champion, Germany runner, but unfortunately the other way around. England became the winner and Germany became the runner. In 66, the World Cup underwent a big change. Color TV started coming in. And because of color TV, a lot of following for the game started from all over the world and money started pouring in. And the game was moved to Mexico this time. And very colorful and fantastic competition. It was one of the finest competitions. And they coaxed Brazil and Pele to come back. And even today, we look at the 1970 Brazilian team as the best team. It had Gerginho in the forward, it had Pele, and it came to the final and defeated Italy 4-1. You should see some of the goals. He made a goal and scored. Especially the last goal, he had the entire opposition on one side and will pass the goal to the right. And the fullback called Carlos Albertos will give a pile driver which virtually tore the net. 4-1 was Germany's effort, was Brazil's victory. They had won the tournament in 58, 62, and 70. They were the only team at that point of time to have won the tournament in 2 continents. They won it in Sweden, they won it in Chile, and they also won it in Mexico. So virtually, North America, South America, and Europe. And the Jules Rimet Trophy was permanently awarded to Brazil. Any team that wins it 3 times was given the Jules Rimet Trophy. Then the International Football Federation underwent further changes. Elections happened and it came to be called the World Cup. It was previously called the Jules Rimet Trophy. Now it came to be called the FIFA World Cup FIFA Trophy. A solid gold trophy that you see these days was made. And in 1974, the game was moved to Europe. This time, Germany hosted the game. And the team to be noticed in 1974 was a team called Holland, Netherlands. There was a player called his name was Johan Cruyff. And on the German side was Franz Beckenbauer. Johan Cruyff was called a Flying Dutchman. He had 2 people on his sides. Johan Cruyff, Rob Rensenbrink, sharpshooters. And Holland introduced a new concept in football. Previously, they used to have positions, 5 in the back, 3 in the center, 2 in the front. Then it changed to 4, 3, 3. 4 people in the back, 3 in the center, 3 in the front. Holland changed this concept and called this total football. All 10 used to attack, all 10 used to defend. Total football. And this Johan Cruyff weaved magic. And as expected, they reached the final and they were expected to walk home with the World Cup football trophy. Just a year before they had won the World Cup hockey trophy, they were expected to win the trophy. The final was in Japan. It was the home crowd. A little bit of refereeing here and there because some fouls on Johan Cruyff were simply ignored. And it started off with it was a game in which there was a penalty in the first minute. I saw this game on TV, the first 25 touches, the Germans couldn't even touch the ball. It only moved between the Holland and this fellow was in the penalty box, and no way they had to do it, stop him, but they had to trip him. And the penalty was taken, but thereafter German mean machine took over. And finally, Germans won it 2-1. It's one of the travesties of justice. The best team that played did not win. 74 was the World Cup football in Germany. 78, it moved to Argentina. In Argentina, that time was a dictatorship. And that's when politics started entering World Cup football. Argentinian dictatorship wanted a good image of Argentina and say that the country is doing very well and things like that. They put pressure on the World Cup organizers, and they say that's when corruption also entered World Cup and moved to Argentina. In Argentinian side, we had a player called Mario Kempes, who was the only fellow who was equal to the Flying Dutchman, Johan Cruyff. Johan Cruyff was a very outspoken, blunt kind of person. And unfortunately, in 1978 World Cup, Johan Cruyff was not in the Dutch team. And the Dutch team reached the final all over again. But Argentina flattened them 4-2. There was no way they could beat Argentina. Mario Kempes was an amazing superstar. Once again, the travesty of justice here was the best team on display was Brazil. And Brazil lost in the knockout stage and they could win the finals. That was 78. So till 78, football was played with about 16 teams maximum, divided into 4 groups. The top 2 used to come into the knockout stage. So 16, you will have 8 teams playing quarterfinal, semi-final, final.
Who won in 78?
78 was Argentina for the first time. And Holland was 2 times successively runner-up, 74 and 78. And Mario Kempes was the hero of the 78 campaign. In 1982, because of the pressures and because of the work of football becoming more popular and the money involved, they expanded it to 24 teams. From 16, it became 24. 24 teams were divided into 6 groups of 4 teams each. 2 would qualify from each team, so that would make it 12. And then they said 4 best third-placed team will come into the knockout stage. And 1986 saw the coming in of Mexico hosted. 1982, before 86, 82, it was hosted by Spain. And it marked the entry of another superstar of world football, Diego Maradona. Just as Pele was from Islam, Maradona was also from Islam. And just as Pele was kicked out in 62 and 66, Maradona was kicked out in 82 virtually. Every team fouled him. Imagine a stormy 18-year-old boy, he was supposed to have entered in 1978 itself, but the coach at that point of time thought he was not fit. So imagine a 20-year-old fellow, very stormy, angry man, everybody elbowing him. And there was a movie called Goal. In these days, there was a fellow from Italy, his name was fullback. He was called the Butcher of Italy. You reach out to the fingers and twist the fingers, and then you can't but help but retaliate, and he got a red card in the match. So Maradona's 1982 football ended in a tragedy. 1982 football saw the rise of an Italian star who was banned for so many things, and finally he rose to rising from the ashes like a phoenix. His name was called Paolo Rossi. He played indifferently in the group stage, and then came the final, the last 3 matches. The match against Germany, he scored 3 goals. The semi-final against Poland, he scored 2. The final against Germany, he scored the crucial one goal. It's called the 3-2-1 trick of Paolo Rossi, and Italy lifted the cup after 1938. After 44 years, they lifted the cup. And in fact, Italy has the longest reign of holding the cup because they have won it in 34, 38. And no, there was no competition till 50. So from 34 to the 50, 16 years, they held the cup. Having held the cup for so long, it took them 44 years to get back their hands on the trophy. So 1982, Italy beat Germany 4-2 or something in the finals, and they took the cup. 86, the tournament moved to Mexico. And Diego Maradona had risen to what he call more prominence. And again, 24 team format, 16 in knockout. We had some amazing teams playing. We had Denmark, which tried to play the Holland total football style. And we had Spain and a fellow called Butragueño from Spain who countered this total football with his own style. There's so many interesting games there. Then the Africans team started rising. Nigeria, Morocco, and these teams started rising. And we saw, that was a time when Pele said that we are going to shortly have an African team coming in as champions. We saw the rise of all these teams. But then it was Maradona, Maradona, Maradona all the way. He was also famous for the hand of God of Maradona. In a match against England, and I think the quarterfinals, he jumped and headed the ball in. The entire back of England claimed it as handball. Nobody, none, neither the TV nor the TV or the referee caught it, and the goal was allowed to stand. When Maradona was asked, he said, hand of God, I don't know. When he jumped, they believed that the hand hit the ball. But the second goal was conjured out of nothing, the way he scored that goal. Then came the semi-final against Belgium. He literally danced around the Belgian team. Then came the final, in which they came to meet Germany. Germany had the reputation of stopping all these players with great defense. And Germany's defense was clear. Kick Maradona. Maradona said, fine, unless I come into your half, you're not going to kick me. So Maradona decided to play from his half. It's a unique game in which Maradona only passed. He very rarely, he attacked once or twice, mostly passed. And in two such passes, Argentina beat Germany 3-2 to the World Cup. An amazing World Cup. In 1990, came back to Europe. Okay. Don't ask me how do I remember all this. I'm not referring to this. They say na football. We forget eating and drinking and everything we remember. 1990, it came back to Italy. It was one of the most boring World Cups we ever saw. Because Maradona was past his prime. And everybody was fouling left, right, and center. There was one fellow from Italy called Schilacci. We thought because of him, Italy would win, but it didn't so happen. And then Argentina came to the final. The aging, paunchy Maradona, it still came to the final. And in the final, German won. There was a fellow called Lothar Matthäus from Germany who scored the winning goal. Won. It was the most boring World Cup I ever saw. And Germany won it the second time. The first time they won it in 1974. They were the Federal Republic of Germany. And in 1990, it became unified Germany. They won it for the second time. It was 19, yeah. They won it for the second time in 1990. Yeah, sorry, 54, 74, 1990. It was the third time they won the cup. And then 94, the game was played in USA. Again, nothing big to remember, only we saw the emergence of other teams. And 1994 World Cup was dominated by a Brazilian player called Romario. And he played amazing football. It was decided in the final. They beat Italy and Brazil took the cup for the fourth time. USA, it was held in USA in North America. 98, it moved to France. It moved to France. It was again one of the finest World Cups I particularly saw. Because France had some excellent players. It had Zinedine Zidane. Yeah, somebody who's yeah. Please mute your Gautam bhai. Please mute your mic. I'm able to hear some voice. So please mute. Yeah. So 1998, France, Zinedine Zidane, and it was a home coach. The French public supported, and it was it was very clean kind of football, not too many fouls. And all of them are Argentina was coming back. Brazil was coming back into good play. Brazil had an amazing player called Ronaldo. It saw the rise of Ronaldo, not Portugal Ronaldo, the Brazilian Ronaldo. But in the final, it was Zinedine Zidane and France which won the game. 1998, France, first time. The game was, the trophy was in the hands of Brazil, Germany, Italy, Argentina, Uruguay, and England. One straight. That was the time France also entered. It could lay its hand on its trophy. France, 1998. Okay. Then 2002 was another landmark year. The game moved, it was called Japan-Korea World Cup. It moved to Asia for the first time. And it moved to Asia, and in Asia, we saw the rise of South Korea, Japan. They played very amazing football. They really made amazing football, but their standard was not good enough to defeat the top teams. The final, again, it was Brazil which came to the final. It was Germany who beat them in the final. And that time, Ronaldo flattened Germany. It was Ronaldo's World Cup. He flattened Germany, and Brazil did a record of winning 5 trophies. Cafu was the captain. He held aloft the trophy. It was 5th time Brazil won the trophy. Unfortunately, after that, for the next 20 years, Brazil has been being knocked out left, right, and center. I'll come to more of it in the next few minutes. Okay, 2002 was Korea. 2006, it went back to Germany. Germany was hosting it this time as Unified Germany. First time it hosted as FRG. This time they hosted as Unified Germany. And 2006, nothing exciting about the World Cup. I don't remember anything exciting about the World Cup. The only thing I remember that Italy and France went to the final. And Italy won on penalties. And France missed a sitter of a penalty. So these World Cups don't stay in the mind in 2006. And the game didn't undergo any big change. After that total football, what they were saying is even the Latin American teams were adopting the European style, because most of the Latin Americans were playing in Europe, club football. So that was a style. 2006 saw the emergence of 2 stars who are playing even today. One was Messi. How much? Hardly 30, maybe just about 21 years old. Another fellow was Cristiano Ronaldo of Portugal. So it saw the emergence of these 2 stars, 2006 and 2000. These 2 people, Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi, played amazing football, but it was in patches. And by the time the teams had extended to 32 teams, from 24 it became 32. 32 were divided into 4 groups, or 8 groups of 4 teams each. 2 teams from each team qualified to the knockout round. It was around this time, 2002, 2006, they did the pointing system also changed. Previously, the points was for every win 2, for every draw 1 point. In 2002, they changed, saying that we will have for every win 3 points and draw 1 point. So that, suppose a team won 1 and another team drew 2, they will be equal, so that doesn't happen. And they introduced new system of goal averages and things like that. 2006 was nothing great worth remembering. 2006. Then we went to 2010. Do you remember Shakira's song? Waka Waka eh. It's time for Africa. First time in South Africa. And it was very colorful, very interesting football matches were played. The fouls had come down. The referees were given strict instructions to penalize people who fouled deliberately. And one more thing, the referees were given what do you call powers to penalize even those actors. For instance, you would have seen Cristiano Ronaldo. He's a very good player, but when he enters the penalty box, he'll keep stumbling and falling down as though nothing, as though he's been even a whiff of air is enough to knock him down. And you see the acting and feigning. Oh God, leg is gone. And then the moment the penalty is out, he's ready to. So to penalize feigning and claiming penalty which was not there, they introduced, referees were given more powers. 2010, South Africa. And after 74 and 78, Argentina had as though faded out. Some great players had come, Rod Gullit, Bergkamp, but none of them really made an impression. Marco van Basten. 2010, Holland, Netherlands rose up and reached the finals. But the team which played the other side, called Spain, they made it boring by playing a game called Taka Taka Tika. Tiki Taka Taka, something like that. Meaning, they will not give you the ball. They will keep passing the ball among themselves. You will be tired. It is like a hyena, hunting the prey. It will tire you out. It will keep running out, and when you tire out, they'll score a goal. They'll score just one goal and then keep the ball to themselves. They will score that one goal towards the end of the game and keep the ball to themselves. It was one of the most boring finals, 2010. And then came 2014. In 2014, the game came back to 2014. Where was the game held in 2014 from Africa? I forgot where the game was held in 2014. And in 2014, again, what happened was Messi was supposed to be at his peak. He was reaching his peak. He was really doing very well. And he was reaching his peak, and everybody expected Messi to do great. But somehow, they used to say, when can you see Messi play great football? They say you can see him make a great football when you take off the Argentinian jersey. Because with the Argentinian jersey, he was never playing great football. He was always below par. And in 2016, 2014, it was just a very ordinary kind of game. But 2014, it went back to Brazil. I shouldn't forget that. Because after 1950, they held it in 2014, after 64 years. Again, the hope on Brazil was amazing. Everybody thought Brazil is going to walk away with the World Cup. But then came that crucial match in which Germany flattened Brazil 7-2. No World Cup winner has ever lost by such a heavy margin. They were flattened simply. And even today, if you go, please go into that YouTube and play the movie there on 2014 Germany versus Brazil. You can see young boys crying, really crying, not acting. Should see the expression on the face of the whole stadium when Brazil was flattened. And Brazil never recovered from the blow. And they say, now 2022, they will do well. It was flattened very, very badly. And Germany came to the final. From that side, Argentina came to the final. And after a wonderful game, Messi missed a sitter. Argentina should have won the game. Messi missed a sitter. And by default, some kind of the freak move, Germany got the winning goal. And Germany won the World Cup 1-0. 2018, it moved to Russia. Russia again is trying to gain political mileage by hosting. It was well hosted. Again, 32 teams, very well hosted, by excellent games were played. And it had the rise of a star. And the star came from Belgium. His name was Lukaku. You should read the story of Lukaku in YouTube. He came from a very poor family. When he used to ask for milk, I'm reminded of the story of Ashwatthama in Mahabharata. His mother used to mix corn flour and give it to him in a glass of water, saying, "This is milk." And so he was, he thought it was milk. He realized much later that there was no milk in what he was drinking. And he said, "I will never let my mother suffer like this anymore." He became a Belgium footballer, a very big footballer, and he earns somewhere about 800,000 euros now, and he's a very rich man. He played amazing football. And in that one of the game, they were down love 2 against South Korea. The way he brought it back to 3-2, they say, selling a dummy. There is an attack, and this fellow, as though, steps out just to see that the opposition, his other member scores. Love 2, and they beat South Korea. Unfortunately, they lost in the final too. They've lost in the final to France. Not in the final, in the semi-final, they lost to France. France had 2 amazing players that time. A very good back and 2 amazing people up front. Mbappe and Pogba. They were unstoppable. And it also, 2018, also brought the end of Germany. It was knocked out by South Korea 2-0. A world champion being knocked out by an Asian team was unheard of. It was knocked out by South Korea 2-0. And on the other side, Croatia rose to the final. The first time an unseeded team coming to the final. And France defeated them. Croatia was no match to France. They thought it was just good fortune that they came there. So it was just Croatia was no match. Then there was a third place match between Belgium and England. Belgium played again amazing football, and Belgium took the third place. That was Belgium's best in the World Cup so far. Now a look into the present World Cup 22. It's being played, for the first time in Asia. And not for the first time, it is being played in Qatar. There was a lot of politics about Qatar bidding and a lot of money exchanged hands. It's being played in Qatar. They said the heat is going to take its toll. We don't know. The heat already took its toll on Germany and Argentina. They lost the first matches. Let's see how it progresses. And there were a lot of injuries as well. Pogba is injured, so Mbappe does not have his other person who will support the forward. And then 2018, Neymar was injured. Now Neymar is back. The Brazil team is looking very good. Jesus, Neymar, and looking very good. Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, they are playing their last World Cup football matches. Messi is still a shadow of the past. He scored 1 goal so far. And Cristiano Ronaldo is possibly the only fellow who has scored a goal in all the 5 World Cups he has played. 6, 10, 14, 18, and 22. So it's a very crucial stage. Let's see how it develops. A little look at the future. 2026 is going to have 48 teams play the World Cup. They are going to be divided into 16 groups of 3 members each. 2 will qualify, then 32 will play the knockout. It's going to be a long, 80 matches, and it's going to be played in 32 days. And the 2026 World Cup is going to be hosted by USA, Canada, and I think 3 countries that area 2026. It's become a multi-million dollar. Then they're spending nearly $200 billion on the current World Cup. 26 is going to be played in the USA. 2030 bid. Now it's no longer possible to hold the World Cup alone. Possibly only a Middle East can hold it. 2030 bid has come from Uruguay, Argentina, Portugal, and Spain. But the best bid is likely to come from Asia, from Africa, Morocco, Tunisia, and maybe one other country. 48 countries. So earlier it was predominantly Europe and then other countries. Now Europe, South America, North America, then the Middle East, the Central America, Africa is going to get more plays, and then Asia is going to get more plays. We are going to see the World Cup becoming a more wider format. You may have a question: did India ever participate in the World Cup? In 54, it qualified to play. We were even Olympic champions, Olympic silver medalist or something, Asia gold medalist. We have done very well in football. In 54, India qualified. But India couldn't participate for one silly reason. India could not afford the shoes required for playing World Cup football. And the team was not used to playing in shoes. So India cried off. After that, India never qualified. Hopefully, in the 48 format, India will make its name also in World Cup football. So this is the history of football. Anybody from Bengal, we say we have more football in our blood than any other enzyme. Just imagine, there are some guys in the world, in Bengal, in my Calcutta friends, who will give you even more details about each match, who scored what and who card a red card and yellow card. And
Goa also is as good or as bad. Sir.
Yes, Goa is very good. The three teams in India are very good. One is Bengal, Goa, and Kerala. Kerala plays amazing. It's three teams.
I think communist and football go together.
Go together, yeah, perhaps. Punjab plays good football, the aggressive kind of football. But Kerala and but the problem with Indian football is, I don't know whether they'll be able to face the aggression of the Arabian teams or the African teams.
Stamina, stamina.
Because Kerala plays good football, but how long will rice, curry and fish stand you? Maharashtra plays good football, but over a period of time, in India, they're trying to bring in something like the International Football League, making it more money. They've got Baichung Bhatia and imports who are trying to play good football. So the game is trying to change, and it's good. It's a game which all of senior citizens can also play.
Yeah.
You can get in, just kick the football around, five-a-side, just kick it around, as long as you don't kick the other man. You can play it alone.
Yes.
Just have two goalposts, buy a ball, try to kick the ball into the goal. It improves your mental concentration and physical reflexes. Then ask a person to stop your kicks.
Yeah.
Amazing game. And then a simple thing of dribbling also helps you in keeping the balance. Hands are not involved. Pick the ball on your right foot. Slowly move to your thigh. Transfer the ball to your left thigh. Bring it down your left. If you can do this, you are middle. You know what's middle age? When the middle comes out, it's middle age. So in the same way, playing football this way, they say knocks off your middle. It's an amazing fitness game. It's good for people who want to keep their sugar levels under control. So let's watch the football happening in the next few days. Enjoy. And I thought this time we'll do a different storytelling and introduce football.
Yeah, it was nice.
Never mind if people are less.
Yeah, never mind, but it was good.
So remembering something is fun, when I study record, 1930 onwards, 92 years of football, who won? It's amazing. It also does good to your memory.
Yes.
Who played, what style of football they played, that's good. So thank you very much for being with me. From Saturdays, we will resume. I'll start our acting classes, resume our acting classes.
Yeah.
And then this week you have tomorrow's what? Tuesday and Wednesday. Wednesday we have, or Thursday. Antakshari is on Thursday.
Thursday, yeah.
Usha Jacob hosts Antakshari on Thursdays. Then we have karaoke that evening.
And Thursday we have a whole lot of karaoke again in the evening.
Yeah. And on Wednesday we have our season. Season 9 Group C or D we have.
Yeah.
And tomorrow we have open house, and Saturday morning I will start.
Tomorrow it's in the evening, sir.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we have Guftagu session.
Guftagu tomorrow. Yeah. Guftagu.
It's in the evening, is it?
Yeah, evening.
Yeah, evening.
Yeah.
So lakhs we'll do Guftagu, and then we have Wednesday, Thursday, Saturdays I'll start my acting sessions,
Yeah.
and then we are planning shortly in December we'll have the Mehfil Masti, which we will have a meeting in between just to see who's playing what role better. So popularize seniors today. Archana has put in a link there. People can subscribe and become to our magazine and see what we do.
Yeah, actually, Archana, I wanted to convey to you. Today you had sent a message about becoming a member there, but I gave umpteen number of times. There is no OTP coming into my mobile phone.
Oh,
Hello,
yeah.
is
I think
Archana there?
Yeah. Technical department is working on that. There is some problem in website.
Yeah, I tried so many times today. It wasn't happening at all. Yeah.
OTP was not received.
Yeah. OTP. Yeah. OTP is not coming.
I've not tried so far. Let me say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have asked him, the technical guy.
Yeah.
And
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
This time I'll definitely be joining the Antakshari on Wednesday.
Yeah, sure,
I
sir.
hope to be back.
Would
in
love to
town.
have you there.
I'm
Yeah,
traveling
with
tomorrow. I
your
hope to be
trivias
back.
and all, no?
Hope to travel by the be back in town by the time.
Yeah.
I'll definitely join, and then Saturday we'll have a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Thank
sure.
you very much. Have a wonderful.
Your session was very informative and nice. It was wonderful.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Hope to have more like this.
Yeah, we'll introduce other games as well. Let some World Cup events happen.
Yeah.
I'll give you more of. Let's listen to lawn tennis and something like that. Women's lawn tennis. Maybe that will bring in more men.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Even women's cricket is not all that popular.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, Holland is the only team in which Holland also has a very powerful women's football team. Plays very well.
Yeah.
They have a women's hockey team which plays well. They're very good, hardy sports persons.
Yes.
Very good sports people. Good. Thank you very much for being with me.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It was very wonderful session.